Today, we're going to crack open a real medical mystery, how our idea of what makes us sick has totally transformed over the centuries. It's a detective story that really affects every single one of us. So it all kicks off with this one big question that's puzzled people forever. Why is it that one person in the office gets a nasty cold while their desk mate, who's breathing the same air, stays completely healthy? The search for that answer, well, it's pretty much revolutionized the world. But, before any detective can start hunting for a culprit, they first have to define the crime. So what does it actually mean to be sick? As we're about to see, the answer is way more complex than you'd think. Yeah, see, disease isn't like a light switch that's just on or off. It's more like a spectrum. You can actually have a disease process starting in your body without a single symptom. Doctors call that subclinical. Or, of course, it can be a full-blown severe condition. It's so tricky that, get this, even the World Health Organization hasn't settled on one single perfect definition. Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to look at being unwell from three different angles. First, you have disease. That's the objective, biological thing a doctor can point to and diagnose. Then there's illness. That's your personal experience of it. The headache, the fatigue, that feeling. And finally, there's sickness. That's the social role you step into. When you call it of work, you're performing the role of a sick person. Three totally different concepts, but all part of the same story. All right, so with our terms sorted, the real hunt for the culprit could begin. And this led to an absolutely revolutionary breakthrough. For most of human history, our ideas about sickness were, well, they were pretty out there. We blamed it on angry gods, weird imbalances of fluids in the body, or even miasma, which is literally just bad air from swamps. But then, in the 1800s, the microscope changed everything. For the first time, we could actually see the enemy. And this was the germ theory, a simple but world-changing idea. Specific little microbes cause specific diseases. Cholera wasn't from bad air. It was from a bacterium. And just like that, medicine had a clear, identifiable bad guy to fight. But, every good detective story has a plot twist. And it turned out the whole one germ, one disease model, well, it wasn't the whole story. Not even close. This simple fact really threw a wrench in the works for the pure germ theory. I mean, think about it. If the tuberculosis bacterium is the only cause of TB, then why doesn't every single person who's exposed get sick? Clearly, the germ was just one part of the equation. So to solve this new puzzle, scientists had to zoom out. They needed a more sophisticated model, one that looked at the entire picture. And that brings us to the epidemiological triad. So think of it like a triangle. On one corner, you have the agent, the what. This is our original culprit, the germ. But it could also be a chemical, some radiation, or even the lack of something, like how a vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy. On the next corner of the triangle is the host, the who. That's us. Our genetics, our immune system, our age, our overall health, all of this determines how susceptible we are. This is why one person can fight off a virus no problem, while another person gets really sick. And finally, the third corner is the environment, the where. This covers everything from the climate and sanitation to social factors like poverty and overcrowding. The environment is basically the stage where the agent and the host meet up. And to make this model even more powerful, you can add a fourth dimension, right in the middle, time. This covers things like the incubation period, how long an illness lasts, and the whole timeline of an outbreak. It's really the interplay between all four of these elements that gives us the full picture. Now, the triad model is great for infectious diseases, but what about today's biggest health killers, like heart disease or diabetes? They don't have a single agent, so our thinking had to evolve all over again. Let's just go back to our tuberculosis case. Yes, the bacteria is the agent, but the risk of actually getting sick from it skyrockets when you add in factors like poverty, overcrowding, and malnutrition. It's not a straight line from germ to disease. It's more like a tangled network. So to explain these really complex chronic diseases, two epidemiologists, McMahon and Pugh, came up with the web of causation. This model just throws out the idea of a single cause. Instead, it shows disease as the end result of a complex web of interconnected factors that all build on each other over time. A heart attack is a perfect example of this web in action. It's not just one thing, it's a whole chain reaction. It might start with lifestyle factors like smoking or stress. That can lead to intermediate conditions like obesity and high blood pressure. In turn, those cause physical changes in your arteries, which can finally lead to a heart attack. It's a whole cascade effect. Now, this complex web might seem a little daunting, but it's actually incredibly empowering because it gives us a roadmap for prevention. And here's the key takeaway from all this. We don't have to fix the entire web at once. The goal is to find the most critical link in the chain, one that we can actually do something about, and break it. By removing just one key piece, the whole structure can be disrupted. And that really brings us to the final thought. Understanding that disease is a web of causes, not a single bolt of lightning, that actually gives us power. It allows us to ask, which link in my own personal web of health, whether it's diet, stress, or activity, is the one I can influence starting today?